Why is Derrick Jackson the right man, in this case, right man, to be governor, the next governor of Georgia?
Yeah, so let me be absolutely clear, right, when I answer your question. Because I'm thinking about what John Lewis said. John Lewis said, when you see something that's not right, not fair, and unjust, we have a moral obligation to do something. And so all last year, I'm starting to witness what was taking place. Why is it that 400,000 black women lost their jobs because of DEI? 275,000 black men lost their job because of DEI. And so it was just incredulous to me. I knew then what I know now, that when I announced right here in your studio, June 6th, that I'm running for governor, and I look back 9 months later, it was the right choice to make.
And you believe in your heart and heart of hearts, you're best served as a governor instead of being under the gold dome as a state representative?
Oh, absolutely, because when you think about the Georgia Constitution, there are many functions for the governor, but there are only 2 roles. And that role, number 1, is the commander-in-chief, right? No other candidate running, both Republican or Democrat, can compete against my 22 years in the United States Navy, retired lieutenant commander. That right there tells me I'm qualified to be commander-in-chief. So let's put that one aside. Then there's the CEO, right, to be the chief executive officer. We just passed a $43.6 billion budget a few weeks ago. But that budget doesn't reflect all 159 counties. It doesn't reflect all 536 cities. It doesn't reflect all 11 million Georgians, right? And so my resume, 10 years in corporate sector, when I was at General Electric, my team, we facilitated a $1 billion portfolio. Our products went to 162 countries. That's CEO work. And then my 10 years under that gold dome, facilitating, help facilitate those billions of dollars each and every year. We brought back over $3 billion of economic development project, $3 billion. No other district did that. We also have $400 million of infrastructure improvement in my district. No other district, right, have achieved that in the last 10 years and created 30,000 jobs. Of the 7 cities in my district, 2 of them are the fastest growing cities in Georgia, right? And so when you start to compete and you have to examine everybody's resume in this competition, I'm the most qualified commander-in-chief and CEO on day 1, ready to get to work.
Jump right into my questions. One of them was, do you believe your military experience is an advantage for you, and why? And you already kind of went into that, but go ahead.
Yeah, so it is an advantage because as a lieutenant commander, you have to understand what the mission is and make sure you don't leave anybody behind. Right? But even prior to me going into the military, my mother taught me how to lead with compassion, how to serve, how to make sure we help the least of these. And so although my mother was born and raised in Georgia, she left Georgia in 1960, went up to New York, and that's where I was born 6 years later. And so she taught me rural Georgia values and principles. And then the military just put it on steroids. And so, yes, my military career certainly will give me the advantage. And I appreciate Atlanta Voice is covering this, but all the other media outlets are not. Because even in one of your articles, you talked about crossover appeal.
Yes, sir.
Military have vast crossover appeal.
Massive voting bloc, massive.
Right?
Right.
Urban, suburban, and rural,
Yes,
white and black, independent, Republican, Democrat,
female, et cetera, et cetera.
Right? We know we need a military person to be the governor right now.
What happens when someone argues? The president's not a member of the military. The last couple presidents haven't been.
Yeah, and look what we got. Look what the results. Right? I mean, we have an individual right now that's costing the taxpayers $1.1 to $1.2 billion a day, brought us into an unconstitutional war.
Right.
If I was the governor right now, unlike Kemp, he's being very silent, right? But he, as the commander-in-chief, he sent 3 of our brave men and women, 300 of them, to Washington, D.C. Right. We here in Georgia, we're spending $1.4 million a day of our 300 deployed National Guard up in Washington, D.C. to pick up trash.
Security detail.
right? And so I spoke out against that,
You did.
right? Because I sit on the Veterans and Defense Committee. That's wrong. That's a misuse and abuse of our brave men and women. They signed up to make sure that we, Georgians, are safe and secure. If we have 300 of them deployed up in Washington, D.C., what happens if we get a hurricane or tornado?
Right.
Right?
The argument can be made, and I like to piggyback like this.
Sure.
I like to go back and forth, that Kemp's a lame duck governor. What's the point of fighting the White House at this point? What would you, again, now this is scenario time. You're in your second term, second year of second term, third year of second term, final year of second term, and you're like, so why would you fight the White House right now at this point, or would you?
Yeah, so if I was the governor right now,
Right, in your second term.
in my
your last
second
year.
term, the duty never ends. Families do not have the luxury of a governor saying he's in the lame duck. He or she will have the responsibility until the day they leave the office. That's why my mindset is different, right? My duty while I was in the Navy was 22 years, 2 months, and 20 days, right?
You said that in a couple forms. You had it down packed.
That's exactly right.
2 years, 20 years. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not so much what my service is so much the service I give to our citizens. They don't have the luxury to say, well, my rent is in a lame duck season. My job is in a lame duck season. They want their governor to show up each and every day while they're in office. And that's the kind of governor I would be every day for 4 years, but in this case, in your scenario, it would be 8 years. Right. And then I would also still be young, right? I just turned 60, right? And I know we've been talking a lot about age because one of my colleagues who's running for governor, but that's got to be part of this equation too, right? And so we just got to make sure that we inform the electorate and ask the question, who's going to show up for me each and every day? Who's going to fight for me each and every day? There's no such season as lame duck season for our citizens out there.
Would you remain as visible as you've been? I've covered, gosh, at this point now, like 10 different forums. You haven't missed one. I'm talking about way out in Warner Robins in the church. We were out Savannah. You haven't missed one. You always take those opportunities. I appreciate that because you're under the gold dome. You can make excuses for that. You don't. Here's my thing. Would you be as visible as the governor, though? Because a lot of people ask me, Mr. Suggs, can we still find these people after they win?
You know, that's a beautiful question. And my response is this. The way a person campaign will be a good indicator how they were governor, right? How they would be a governor. And so if they don't show up while they're campaigning, you can't expect for them to show up when they become governor. A lot of individuals that's running for governor right now, you could not give them the same scorecard you just gave me. A person that continue to show up every time.
You have.
And that's the kind of governor I will be. I will show up every time. Listen, my family is from Burke County, right? Waynesboro, Statesboro.
Way out there.
Way out there. So if I'm taking the time to go visit family all the time, I'm going to do the same thing for the least of these. I'm going to show up for working families. Somebody asked me at that Warner Robins one that you covered, they said, Derrick, you know where Ty, Georgia is? I said, I absolutely.
You said you did.
Right? Because I've been to Ty, Georgia. I've been to Quitman. When Quitman County called me up, they said, listen, our county's only 2,400 strong. I said, I'm going to show up, right? Not every county is going to be like Fulton or DeKalb or Cobb or Gwinnett, and they have millions and millions and hundreds of thousands of people. What about Teleferro?
Right.
They only have 1,800.
That's right.
Quitman, only 2,400. So
and it gets smaller.
And it gets smaller.
It gets smaller.
Right? And so we want to make sure that we have a governor that's going to show up. Right? And that's the reason why as I told my campaign manager, she said, you got an interview coming up. I said, who was it with? She said, Atlanta Voice. I said, count me in. Count me in. Because you all give the detail. You give a scorecard. This has nothing to do with black and white, Republican, Democrat. You all give an honest scorecard. And that's what I appreciate so much about Atlanta Voice.
Well, let me piggyback on Atlanta Voice. This week is Black Press Week. Why is it important for black newspapers? And again, voters are of all colors, shades, and races, religions. But that said, why is it important for black-owned and operated press and media to cover politics the same way we cover hip-hop, sports, entertainment? Why is that important?
It's absolutely important because you all help us control our narrative. For those who know, before I announce, I was on Roland Martin's show almost weekly.
There you were.
Right? And a lot of folks said, well, Derrick, why don't go to MSNBC or CNN? I said, I prefer Roland Martin. That's where my people are, right? I prefer Atlanta Voice over the AJC, right? You all help us shape the narrative, but we have to have a partnership. We also need to support you all, right? Financially, we have to support because
I agree, y'all.
We got to support them financially, right? I grew up on reading Jet magazine and Ebony magazine. That's where some of the information I learned about politics, seeing about Jesse Jackson and Maynard Jackson and all of them. I read that in Jet magazine.
So you saw people that look like you on the front page.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So we have to keep our own periodicals available, right? It's a source of information for our community. It keeps us informed. And when we are informed, we can make sound decisions. In Atlanta Voice, you all continue to do a phenomenal job making sure that we are informed so we can make sound decisions.
That's why we want to have you all come in. I can cover you out there, but you can also come and see us.
Yeah,
I really
absolutely.
appreciate that. And so far, everyone that we've asked has said yes. There's some folks who are a little delayed right now, but for whatever reason they are, they can't come in.
Sure.
Right. Is Georgia ready for a black governor, though?
Yes.
Never had one.
Yes.
Okay, explain.
Here's the reason why we're ready. Because just a few years ago, we elected the first black U.S. senator and a Jew.
That's right.
We shocked the world.
Yeah, we did.
Georgia did that, not New York, not California, not Texas, not Louisiana, Georgia.
Right.
So yes, Georgia is ready. And listen, everywhere, especially in the Black Belt, 65% of my time has been down the Black Belt, right? From Tifton, Americas, Albany, where my wife is from. And they all are ready. They're ready because we realize if not us in that gubernatorial seat, then who? Because the other candidates are very concerning. You have a billionaire for the first time running in this race. And I watched his commercial last week. He said, I will depart you. Really?
Yeah, deport or depart?
Yeah. I just stuck on the depart piece.
Right.
He said deport.
Right.
Okay. But then the depart?
Right. In his commercial.
In his commercial.
I've seen it on national TV and local.
That's concerning.
Yeah.
They're not just coming after our friends, our brothers and sisters who are immigrants. They're also coming after citizens. Look at Minneapolis.
Right.
Right?
2 Americans were killed.
2 Americans were killed that looked like them. Right. So if they were able to do that to them, what are our chances?
Right.
And so yes, we need a black governor. And yes, Georgia is ready. Georgia was ready when they got their first black mayor, Maynard Jackson.
Right.
It's something about these Jacksons, but we're ready.
No relation, but maybe a relation.
Right.
You never know.
Right. So the answer is yes, we're ready.
Okay, then. So let's take that a little step further. In order for Georgia to have a black governor, I'm sure you can agree, we need to have a massive turnout. Now, there were some elections that they had massive turnouts. What do you say to voters that say, I'm going to get out there, I'm going to try? It's like they can't afford to try, for this primary, because folks think November. It's not November, it's May.
It's May.
What do you say to voters that are saying they have some apathy about the primary election? I'll get out there in November. What do you tell them?
Yeah. So let me look into the camera and be absolutely clear. Us, brothers and sisters, 33% of the population in Georgia is African American.
1 of every 3 people.
33%.
That's right.
And so if you want someone in terms of representation that's going to champion your interests, your concerns, listen to your concerns, now is the time like never before. We do not have the luxury. We do not have the luxury to sit this one out. Whatever took place years ago is behind us. We have to focus on right now, this May. And I guarantee you, if Clayton County shows up, the Black Belt shows up, DeKalb shows up, Fayette shows up, Cobb show up, Gwinnett show up, Fulton show up. If we show up, all of those who are registered voters, we will now have the opportunity. This is not just about making history. This is an opportunity for us to champion a governor that says enough with $5.15 minimum wage. Enough with black maternal health issues. We just received an F- as it relates. We had to make sure that we have a governor that's not only going to listen to us, but champion our cause and then hold me accountable. You are at the driver's seat. You're the employer, I'm the employee. And I'm asking you to hire me. This goes beyond just making history. This is about who is in the driver's seat that's going to champion our causes and deal with our concerns.
If you could describe your first gubernatorial campaign in less than 5 words, how would you describe this whole experience? Or in a sentence?
Yeah, this whole experience had.
So there's nothing like it.
It's nothing like it.
Nothing can compare to that.
Right. I mean, I was trying to compare it when I became a naval officer, but that would be a disservice. Nothing like when I went to corporate America, having everyone interview you at the gas station, at the grocery store, right? I would tell you it's been exciting though.
Okay.
Here's the reason why I would say exciting. If I had to select a word, because I'm getting the opportunity to be in living rooms. I have the opportunity to be on dirt roads, down in Waycross, down near Brunswick, and listening to our people saying that we're ready and that we're gonna get you over the hump. That's why it's been exciting. I've been pulling some 12, 13-hour days.
I bet.
Right? So this is a grind that's worth it. My mother taught me, as she looks down from heaven, she taught me about service and sacrifice. And because she instilled those values, the Navy taught me about service and sacrifice. Being under this gold dome for 10 years taught me about service and sacrifice. And so I continue to thrive off the energy of the excitement of those who I continue to meet. And I appreciate these kind of interviews too, because you all help us control that narrative, right? You provide a perspective of our character, right? A lot of folks did not know that my first wife died of breast cancer, whom I was with for 31 years.
You share that.
You all cover that story, right? You all cover the story to say that this man understand what pain looks like and feels like. You also cover the story where I'm very vocal of speaking truth to power, right? And when power ignores truth, I get in their face.
You get in the face of some of your competitors sometimes at these forums too.
I do.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't want them to say one thing in Bankhead and something else in Buckhead. Amen. Right? I can't have a colleague, a former colleague, that voted for the Trump bill, Senate Bill 244. Okay? That's going to cost us $21 to $22 million. He voted yes for that bill. I voted no. And when he decided to cheat and funnel money and through the Senate Blue Pack, $350,000, I filed a 163-page official complaint to the Secretary of State and the ethics. And we're waiting to see the results. But that 163-page complaint, brother, is tight.
Okay.
It's tight. It's well documented. We don't need folks, because again, how they campaign is a good indicator how they will govern. So if they're going to cheat while they're campaigning, what kind of cheating they're going to do when they govern? If they're not going to show up during the campaign, then what kind of governor can we expect for them to show up in Telefero, in Coffee, or anywhere else in Georgia?
Because that's what I hear from readers. They tell me, I'm glad you're down here when I go South Georgia, way out, way up north. Their whole thing is they're excited to see you all campaigning because they don't get a chance to do that a lot. And it's just a fear that this is my one chance to see that person. I probably won't see them again. And I can't speak for y'all and say, oh no, they'll be back. But that's what they ask me, will they be back? I'm like, well, you know what? It all depends on who wins. I gotta be honest with folks. I'll be back to cover it, but I won't be coming back here if they're not here. If you're not here, then I'm not there.
That's right.
So they always say, well, we love the attention.
That's right.
But I hope y'all come back.
Yeah.
And I can't guarantee that. So you're right. It does depend on who wins the governorship.
When we went up to Gainesville up in Blue Ridge,
that's right.
I was the only black person in the room.
Well, I was there too.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
three of us.
I'm talking about, yeah.
There were like three of us.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you know what it was, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. And so it's about showing up.
Their votes count too.
And I shared this with you before, but just for your listening audience, when I need exclusives as governor, I'm calling up Atlanta Voice. Amen. I don't need to call AJC.
I agree.
Right?
I mean, because I think we're the black press. I think it's important to come and make
That's
sure
why I said I'm gonna give y'all an exclusive. Let's go. Right? AJC was upset, and they still upset.
You know I'm gonna be quiet.
That's okay.
Right?
Because it's okay for us to make a decision to demonstrate how we're going to support black media. I learned that from Roland Martin, being on his show for a good year. Right? And he reminded me, and of course he's my fraternity brother, but he said, Derrick, y'all gotta support us. Right? When we look at that budget, Roland Martin only got like $400,000 compared to all the other media. They got millions of dollars.
Sure.
Right? And you all tell our story better than the other media outlets.
I think we tell it more often.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes, right.
I covered, like I said, I covered you in Warner Robins, Gaines, Hall County.
Yeah.
Of course in Atlanta. Everybody's in Atlanta. Everybody's in Savannah.
That's right.
You got to be other places too.
That's right.
And y'all know that. Candidates know that, but I'm just saying it because I think it's important.
That's right.
Let's talk about the budget really quickly. $14.3 billion budget we have a surplus.
Yeah.
Change in your pocket.
Yeah.
No, you can't just spend it on everything. But if Derrick Jackson's the governor, how do we kind of start using that for Georgians?
Yeah,
They're gonna ask.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. And as you already know, but just for your listening audience, and so I would carve out $1.5 billion and create a small business grant and black farmers grant and nonprofit organization grant. Now you have to apply for this $50,000, right? But taking out $1.5 billion is telling our small black businesses, our farmers, and nonprofit organizations that I'm going to assist you in assisting us in our community. Right? We have nearly 1 million small businesses here in Georgia, but you wouldn't know that because we do not give them any support.
They feel like they're competing uphill.
Yeah.
To get grants and get money from the government.
Yeah, we all know you need capital.
Yeah.
Right? And one small business, I went to a small business conference with the Atlanta Business. You may have been there at the local college here. At
a Metro.
Yeah, at a Metro. And the brother came up to me, he said, $50,000? I said, well, tell me how much you're getting now. He said, nothing.
Okay.
I said, okay then.
Wouldn't that be able to kind of keep your head above water a little bit?
Can we start somewhere?
Right.
I didn't tell you 5,000 or 10,000. I'm saying up to $50,000. My point is, you need to demonstrate in this relationship that it goes both ways. And I discovered this the most during COVID. We put so much on our small businesses, our farmers, and nonprofit organizations when we demanded everybody to shelter in place. A third of small businesses end up not returning.
Right.
They had to close their doors.
Good rebound.
Right. Yeah. Meanwhile, we gave Delta Airlines, and I have no problem with Delta Airlines.
Right.
But we gave them 40.
Week, so chill out.
Yeah. But we gave them $40 million. Right. We gave Home Depot millions. Right. Apple. So if we're going to take care of these big corporations, what about our neighbors and our families and friends who have a small business? Right. I don't care if you have 1 or 100 employees. You should be eligible to receive some capital.
Right.
From your tax dollars and let that be manifest into the community, right? So that's one. Right. The second part is I got to increase this minimum wage. Our young people are asking us. They didn't even know that our minimum wage is $5.15. And for the last 10 years, as you well know, under that gold dome, I introduced a bill, my current bill. But I introduce a bill every year, but my current bill is House Bill 600. So, right? And I tell folks, I don't have to speak hypothetically. I'm doing this work.
No, it's literal. It's not hypothetical.
Right. And so my bill says we're going to go from $5.15 the first year to $15. The second year from $15 to $20. And then by the fourth year, $27. Why $27? Because that's a livable wage. 2.1 million of our families in Georgia are below the poverty level. With that bill, As governor, it lifts all boats from the basement up to the first floor. And when we do that, the 644,000 children who are on SNAP won't be going to bed hungry or going to school the next morning hungry. You got to connect the dots. And you need a governor that's going to take some of that $14.3 billion surplus and put it back into the community. We got to stop what the governor's been continuing to do. He just did it a couple of days ago. We're going to give you $250 if you're single and $500 if you're a family. Do you know, because of the price of gas right now, $250 is gone like that.
Sure.
Right?
You're going to spend $35.40 to fill the tank.
That's right.
For a week.
That's right.
If it's a week.
So let's do the right thing and make sure that our families and those young professionals who may not have a family, but at least they have an environment to want to have the wages that's going to support their quality of life that they desire.
Are you impressed with the fact that under Kemp, the surplus has grown? Is that something you're impressed with, or you're saying, okay, it's grown, but so what?
But going back to our earlier conversation, it was going to grow anyway. These companies are moving here. We just incentivized it.
Sure.
Right? So if I give you
good idea.
if I give you $200 million to relocate your business from New Jersey to Georgia, I give you $200 million. Are you not going to come?
You're going to do it.
You're going to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it just manifested organically that way. Right? I mean, we are in a perfect situation economically. And I'm not discounting from that perspective, but what I am saying, you cannot say we're the #1 state for business, but our families are suffering. Our small businesses are suffering, right? I think you got to flip it on its head and say, let's be the #1 state for families and small businesses and nonprofit organization, because the businesses are they're going to thrive too, right? You now have more discretionary income, more money in your pocket. That means the more you're going to spend.
Sure.
So business is going
cyclical,
right?
Go around.
Absolutely. And so I'm saying the trickle-down effect is not going to happen. It never worked. It would never work. The Republicans continue to say trickle-down economics. I'm saying
further down enough.
That's right.
Okay.
I'm saying let's take a bottoms-up approach. Okay. Let me put money into your pocket as a small business or a farmer or a husband, and say let's do that, and you're going to spend money in the economy, and it's going to thrive anyway. The other piece, we're on the world stage for the next several years.
Yeah,
the World Cup, Super Bowl, we're talking about bringing the Olympics back again.
Look, we might get the DNC as well.
Yeah, the DNC.
There's a lot going on, man.
Right?
A lot.
They all want to come to Georgia. The question is, do we have a governor that's going to have the right perspective, the right values, and the right principles to make sure that our families are taken care of and not left behind? Yeah.
Derrick Jackson is a state representative. I get that. Former military, I get that. Extremely experienced. The resume is there, and we got that. The other people running against you on both sides have resumes as well. I asked you earlier to start this. I'll ask you again. Why are you the best candidate? A voter's going to watch this.
Yeah.
Our YouTube page, wherever they get it from, social media, they're going to watch this and say, what are you going to tell them about why you think you're the best candidate for this job?
No other candidate, Democrat or Republican, have military experience to fulfill the commander-in-chief. So that's one. Number two, when you talk about CEO experience, now, some of them will say, well, I got experience as a small business operator. Great, not taking anything from you, but the last time I checked, Georgia is a big business, not a small business. So no other candidate worked for a Fortune 50 company like I did. When you think about GE, that is big business. No other candidate, with the exception of Jeff Duncan, we could talk about that too, but served under this gold dome for 10 years. Every year is billions and billions of dollars. When I first got elected in 2016, the budget was $19 billion. 2 weeks ago, 10 years later, it's $43.6 billion. So every year, the last 10 years, I'm talking in rationale of billions and billions of dollars. That's CEO work. The other thing that differentiates me too, and we have to include this, I never quit. Other candidates have quit. Other candidates, when the opportunity for them to run for office again, they didn't. You have to ask that question, why? Why didn't they not sign up to get reelected? That's a real question out there. Because if my hypothesis is correct, they knew what we all know now. They weren't going to qualify for reelection. They didn't have the record. Whatever they did in their first term was horrible enough for the polls to reflect that Atlanta said, no, don't do it, because you're going to embarrass yourself. I never cost taxpayers money through my voting record. Another candidate did. You have to ask, why this person running for governor right now signed on to a Trump bill? It was always known to be a Trump bill, Senate Bill 244. Why did he sign yes? Follow the money. And last but not least, no other candidate is going to have a phenomenal first lady like me. My wife, former legislator, born and raised in Albany, graduated from Albany State University, and she served as a legislator for 4 years. You need to look at the total package. My 42 years resume and who you would desire to have as your first lady. Someone that's going to show up, make sure that children have a reading literacy, math literacy, the things that she championed when she was a state representative. That's the kind of first lady you want. So this is a total package that I'm asking you all to research. Don't just look at my record, but also look at our spouse. Who do you want representing Georgia?
So the voters should look forward to seeing you out there on the campaign trail all the way through May and hopefully after that.
Yeah, I don't quit, right?